What if I told you that the most powerful message inside the British monarchy wasn't spoken? It wasn't written. It wasn't even announced. It was simply missing. No statement, no explanation, no confrontation, just a tiara that never appeared. And for those who understand royal symbolism, that absence may have said everything. By the end of that week, royal watchers began to notice something that, at first glance, appeared almost insignificant and yet felt quietly seismic. The Queen Consort stepped into a major public reception without a tiara. To the casual observer, the moment passed without alarm. The styling was cohesive, deliberate, even elegant in its restraint. A sapphire necklace rested with precision at her throat, the deep blue stones reflecting light in controlled flashes. Matching earrings framed her face. Her expression remained composed, steady beneath the sweep of camera lenses and the constant hum of public scrutiny. Nothing appeared missing, nothing appeared chaotic. If anything, the look felt carefully calibrated. Fashion commentators praised what they described as modern minimalism. Some suggested it signaled a shift, a subtle evolution away from overt spectacle and toward refined understatement. Others framed it as a strategic softening of image, an effort to project approachability rather than grandeur. In a monarchy increasingly aware of public perception, such choices are rarely accidental. And yet, among seasoned royal watchers, the kind who study not just gowns and gestures but patterns, the absence lingered. Because in royal culture, the absence of something can be as meaningful as its presence. That is when the conversation moved from fashion into symbolism. In traditional royal protocol, a tiara is not merely decorative. It is ceremonial language. It signals rank, it signals hierarchy, it signals entitlement to a specific visual authority within the institution. Tiaras are worn at defined evening occasions, often tied to state functions or high-level receptions. Their appearance is regulated not by trend but by tradition. And so when a senior royal attends a formal engagement without one, it naturally invites interpretation, not accusation, interpretation. Was it a stylistic modernization, a subtle repositioning of image, a private logistical decision, or something else entirely? This is where rumor begins to take root. Online royal forums, commentary channels, and speculative accounts began circulating an alternative explanation. According to these narratives, which remain unverified and unsupported by official sources, the tiara absence was not simply aesthetic, it was allegedly a consequence. A consequence of an internal disagreement. A dispute involving access to specific tiaras, a clash over protocol, a question of who controls what within a modern monarchy where roles are carefully defined yet emotionally complex. Again, it must be stated clearly, there is no confirmed palace statement validating this version of events, no named insider testimony, no reputable publication has documented such a confrontation as fact. What exists is a web of rumor analysis, stories built from symbolic interpretation, timing, and public imagery. But speculation thrives in the gaps between what is seen and what is explained. According to the circulating narrative, Buckingham Palace had been preparing for two high-profile events scheduled dangerously close together. One was described as a prestigious literary reception hosted by the Queen Consort, an event designed to showcase cultural engagement and intellectual patronage. The other was a major royal appearance marking the King's official birthday, an occasion layered with national symbolism, military tradition, and global visibility. Two events close together, both watched intensely. In royal life, timing matters, proximity matters, the visual continuity between appearances matters. What one royal wears in one room can influence how another is perceived in the next. And in that context, jewelry becomes more than sparkle. It becomes narrative. Rumor narrative claims that behind closed doors, preparations grew unusually intense, that wardrobe planning became meticulous to the point of strain, that certain tiaras typically associated with the Queen Consort were deemed unsuitable for the chosen gowns. Some allegedly clashed in tone. Others were described in these accounts as too heavy, too visually dominant, too reminiscent of a different era. A few, according to speculation, were unavailable due to restoration or prior commitments. In a private household, such a situation would be inconvenient. Inside a monarchy, it becomes symbolic. Because tiaras are not interchangeable fashion pieces, they are historically tied to individuals, to moments, to roles within the royal structure. Some are informally associated with specific figures, some carry emotional legacy, some are visually linked to transitions of status. And that is Ray the Princess of Wales enters the rumor framework. Catherine is widely regarded by royal commentators as having developed a distinctive visual identity rooted in restraint. She is often praised for wearing tiaras sparingly, and when she does, observers note how the choice appears deliberate rather than ornamental. Over the years, certain pieces have become visually associated with her public presence. So in the rumor retelling, attention allegedly turned toward one such tiara, described as refined, balanced, symbolically powerful without being overwhelming. The narrative claims it was viewed as the perfect solution to a styling challenge. And then comes the critical alleged moment, a request. According to speculative accounts, the Queen Consort is said to have expressed interest in borrowing a specific tiara under Catherine's care. The rumor version suggests that the response was not immediate agreement, that prior commitments or symbolic considerations were cited. Here is where interpretation becomes drama. Because in royal symbolism, a tiara is not just metal and stone, it is a visual representation of position. To borrow one associated with another senior royal can be interpreted, fairly or unfairly, as encroachment, or it can simply be interpreted as practicality. The meaning depends entirely on perspective. The rumor narrative chooses the more dramatic interpretation. It suggests that what began as a logistical question evolved into a quiet power test. That refusal or hesitation was perceived as resistance. That protocol, normally a stabilizing force, became contested ground. And in the most dramatic version of the rumor, palace officials allegedly entered the royal jewelry vault and removed multiple tiaras without direct authorization from Catherine. This is the most explosive claim, and also the least substantiated. There are no credible mainstream reports confirming such an event, no documented breach, no official acknowledgement, but in rumor culture, the lack of confirmation can sometimes intensify belief rather than diminish it. Silence becomes interpreted as secrecy, discretion becomes interpreted as cover. The story then escalates further. Some versions claim that one of the tiaras, often named as the lotus flower tiara, was allegedly intended for private use by a non-working family member. That detail, whether factual or fictional, dramatically heightens the symbolic tension because royal jewels are traditionally tied to institutional duty rather than personal family display. Again, unverified, but emotionally powerful as a narrative device. And so the rumor frames the tiara-less public appearance as the aftermath, as a visual consequence, as a silent outcome of internal correction. In this interpretation, the absence becomes louder than any statement could have been. No press release, no clarification, just a reception without a crown. From an analytical standpoint, what makes this story compelling is not whether it is true, but why it resonates. It taps into a long-running public fascination with royal hierarchy, with generational transition, with the invisible negotiation between tradition and modern structure, with the idea that power within the monarchy is exercised not through shouting, but through symbols. A tiara worn, a tiara withheld, a tiara absent. In institutions built on ceremony, symbolism becomes the language of conflict. And so, even without confirmation, the rumor thrives because it fits an archetype, the quiet struggle beneath polished surfaces, the idea that behind composure lies tension, that behind continuity lies negotiation. Weeks later, when Catherine appeared at a formal event wearing one of the tiaras associated with her, observers in speculative spaces interpreted it not simply as fashion, but as narrative closure, as reinforcement, as balance restored. Was it? There is no evidence tying those appearances to a confirmed dispute. But in royal storytelling, and make no mistake, the monarchy is one of the oldest storytelling institutions in the world. Meaning is often constructed by the audience as much as by the palace. And that may be the most revealing part of all. Because sometimes the most powerful thing in royal life is not what is said. It is what is missing. And sometimes the absence of a crown is enough to build an entire story around it. The rumor claims that behind the scenes, preparations had taken on an unusually intense tone. According to speculative accounts circulating online, the atmosphere inside the palace shifted from meticulous to almost militarily precise. Some versions suggest the Queen Consort sought direct oversight over every visual element connected to the upcoming engagements, from guest coordination and seating charts to lighting angles, floral arrangements, and wardrobe decisions. In these retellings, rare flowers were allegedly sourced at short notice. Custom fabrics were re-evaluated, fittings were repeated, adjustments were made, undone, and made again. The palace in this version of the story ceased to resemble a historic residence and began to resemble a command center, controlled, deliberate, strategic. To be clear, high-level royal events are always planned with extraordinary care. Precision is not unusual, but rumor narratives often magnify that precision into pressure and pressure into tension. And within that heightened atmosphere, the alleged complication emerged: the tiara selection. According to these accounts, none of the tiaras typically associated with the Queen Consort seemed to align with the chosen gowns. Some were said to clash in tone under certain lighting. Others were described as visually too heavy, overpowering delicate fabrics, or disrupting the intended silhouette. A few were reportedly unavailable, either due to restoration work, prior commitments, or scheduling constraints within the royal jewelry rotation system. In an ordinary household, that would amount to nothing more than a styling inconvenience: a different necklace, a change of earrings, a pivot in aesthetic direction. But within the monarchy, rumor accounts suggest the issue carried symbolic weight, because tiaras are not interchangeable accessories. They are historically associated with specific roles. They reflect status, they signal hierarchy, and within royal tradition there are unspoken boundaries governing who wears which piece and when. That is precisely why the speculation escalates at this point in the narrative. Online commentators begin to introduce the Princess of Wales. Catherine is often described by royal observers as having cultivated a visual identity grounded in restraint. She is known for rarely appearing in tiaras, and when she does, the choice tends to feel deliberate rather than ornamental. Over time, certain pieces have become visually linked to specific moments in her public life: state banquets, diplomatic receptions, or occasions tied to continuity within the institution. So within the rumor framework, attention allegedly turned toward one particular tiara under Catherine's care, described in speculative accounts as refined, versatile, and quietly commanding. A piece that balances tradition with subtlety. A tiara that, according to these narratives, would have perfectly complemented the Queen Consort's planned look. And then comes the first significant claim: that a request was made. In the rumor retelling, this request was not presented as a gentle inquiry. It was described as something firmer, closer to an expectation than an option. The language used in these online narratives suggests that Catherine did not immediately agree. Some versions claim she had already planned to wear the piece at an upcoming engagement. Others suggest it held symbolic importance tied to her role. Here, it is essential to pause and state clearly: there is no official confirmation that such a request occurred, no verified report, no reputable outlet documenting a direct exchange or disagreement over a specific tiara. The detail appears primarily in dramatized retellings, anonymous commentary, and highly narrative-driven online discussions. But in rumor culture, absence of confirmation does not prevent expansion. The story continues. According to speculative accounts, the atmosphere allegedly grew tense after the request was not instantly resolved. Conversations became guarded, preparations intensified. The tiara issue, small in material terms, was framed as large in symbolic implication. Because in royal storytelling, especially in online analysis spaces, jewelry becomes shorthand for hierarchy. Who controls it? Who is associated with it? Who yields it? And who refuses? The rumor narrative leans heavily into that symbolic reading. It portrays the tiara not as an object, but as a marker of standing within the institution. In that framing, hesitation is interpreted as resistance, a request is interpreted as assertion, and the exchange, whether it occurred as described or not, becomes a metaphor for generational transition and internal power balance. Still, the most dramatic escalation in the rumor narrative comes next. According to these unverified accounts, palace officials allegedly entered the royal jewelry vault and removed not one but multiple tiaras without Catherine's direct authorization. This claim is among the least substantiated elements of the story. There are no confirmed reports supporting such an event, and reputable royal correspondents have not documented any vault breach or formal dispute. Yet the rumor persists. Because once a story shifts from wardrobe disagreement to symbolic removal, it transforms from fashion gossip into institutional drama. In this telling, the tiara is no longer about fabric coordination. It becomes about control. And that is precisely why the speculation refuses to fade. According to the rumor narrative, everything shifted the moment Catherine allegedly resisted. Speculative accounts claim that after she did not immediately agree to the tiara request, the atmosphere inside the palace subtly changed. Not dramatically, not publicly, but perceptibly. Staff, these stories say, grew cautious. Conversations allegedly paused when certain names were mentioned. Meetings that once flowed smoothly became measured and restrained. Protocol officers were described as unusually alert, not because anything visible had happened, but because something invisible had. This is where the rumor lanes into what could almost be described as a royal thriller tone. The palace in this telling does not erupt in shouting or confrontation. It cools, it tightens, it becomes quieter, doors close more gently, eyes linger a second longer, silence becomes the loudest presence in the room. The narrative suggests that tension inside an institution like the monarchy does not appear as chaos, it appears as stillness. Then comes the most explosive allegation. According to the more dramatic versions of the rumor, palace officials allegedly entered the royal jewelry vault and removed multiple tiaras without Catherine's authorization. It is crucial to underline this again. This portion of the story is the least supported by credible reporting. Established royal correspondents frequently document public appearances, jewelry history, and ceremonial protocol. However, claims about unscheduled vault access, private confrontations, or real-time orders being executed require strong sourcing. The rumor narrative offers none. There are no confirmed palace statements, no verified insiders on record, no mainstream investigative coverage detailing such an incident. Yet in the rumor retelling, this alleged act becomes the turning point. Not because of the physical removal of jewelry, but because of what it symbolically represents. In that version of events, the act is framed as a line crossed, a moment where protocol was allegedly overridden, a moment where authority was asserted in a way that felt deliberate rather than procedural. The alleged message, according to speculation, was not about diamonds or pearls, it was about power, about whether established boundaries could be bypassed, about whether Catherine's role within the hierarchy could be diminished. And then the story escalates further. The rumor introduces an additional claim that one of the pieces, often named as the lotus flower tiara in online discussions, was allegedly being prepared not for official duty, but for private family use by someone outside a working royal role. Again, there is no official confirmation of this, no credible documentation, no verified reporting, but as a rumor detail, it spreads rapidly because it touches a particularly sensitive nerve within royal culture. Royal jewels are not viewed as personal accessories in the traditional sense. They are institutional assets. They are worn to represent continuity, history, and duty. So the idea, whether accurate or not, that one might be used for private display rather than official purpose immediately triggers reaction. It reframes the situation from a wardrobe disagreement into a question of principle. That is why the claim resonates, not because of fashion, because of symbolism. In the rumor's emotional framing, Catherine allegedly learns about the removal after the fact. The narrative shifts from political tension to personal impact. The tiaras are described not as decorative objects, but as markers of her journey, symbols of her position, her years of adaptation, her deliberate restraint within a system defined by hierarchy. According to the rumor retelling, the humiliation was not about losing access to jewels. It was about the implication that she could be bypassed, that her symbolic authority could be quietly overridden, that she could be made to feel, in the story's language, erased. And then the narrative introduces the moment designed to change everything: William's return. This is where the rumor transitions from palace drama into broader analysis. Because even without confirmed details, the larger question resonates. What happens when traditional hierarchy intersects with clearly defined modern roles? What happens when symbolism becomes contested territory? In the rumor version, William learns of the corridor tension, the alleged vault removal, the reported private use claim. The narrative suggests he views the situation not as a personal disagreement between two women, but as an institutional issue, a matter of boundaries, of clarity, of stability within a structure built on precedent. According to the speculation, he brings the matter directly to King Charles, not for spectacle, not for retaliation, but for resolution. And then comes the consequence moment that the opening scene foreshadows. In the rumor framework, King Charles intervenes. The tiaras are allegedly returned, and more significantly, the Queen Consort is said to have been instructed not to wear a tiara at the upcoming engagements. In that retelling, the public tiara absence becomes less a fashion decision and more an internal correction, a visual outcome of private enforcement. But here is where analysis must step in firmly. A tiara-less appearance alone cannot confirm any of these private claims. Public symbolism can be interpreted in many ways. The monarchy does communicate visually, yes, but symbolism is also precisely what rumor culture thrives on. It allows observers to connect dots that may not actually be connected. It transforms coincidence into narrative. So what can responsibly be said? Tiaras absolutely carry symbolic weight within royal culture. Jewelry choices are rarely random at high-level events, public appearances are carefully curated, and the royal household has a long history of using visual language, what is worn, what is omitted, what is emphasized to signal continuity or subtle shifts. But the specific storyline involving vault access, confrontation dialogue, and private disciplinary action remains unverified. It exists within rumor ecosystems, not documented fact. And that is why presenting this story as rumor analysis, rather than confirmed history, is essential. Because the deeper takeaway may not be about what happened behind palace walls. It may be about why people are so ready to believe it. People are rarely captivated by gemstones themselves. They are captivated by what gemstones symbolize, by the idea of silent power struggles, by hierarchy concealed beneath etiquette, by the notion that even a missing tiara can function as a message, intentional or not. Weeks later, in the rumor narrative's closing image, Catherine appears at a formal banquet wearing the oriental circlet, poised, understated, controlled. In that version of events, it is not framed as victory, it is framed as quiet steadiness. Not louder, just immovable. Because in royal life, the sharpest statements are seldom delivered in speeches. They are delivered through presence, through posture, through what is worn, and through what is not. And perhaps the reason such stories spread so quickly is because they tap into something larger than any single rumor. A belief that in institutions built on crowns and ceremony, authority is not something seized in a moment. It is something accumulated and earned. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe this was simply modern styling? Or do you think symbolism inside the monarchy still carries unspoken messages? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them all. And if you enjoy deep dive royal analysis that separates rumor from reality while exploring the symbolism behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because sometimes, the most powerful royal stories are the ones told without a crown.